I went for a prostate biopsy. And ladies, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't ever go for a prostate biopsy. I really get bored when people applaud that when it's announced that I've had 2 bouts of cancer. Because, all right, I had a good attitude about it, and I kept asking the questions, you'll see in a minute, what do I want my attitude to be? But you're the people that really deserve the round of applause. You're the people that made me feel better. In fact, after I had the last bout, which was a prostate cancer, I went for a radical prostatectomy. I woke up after a few minutes, my wife came in, and I told my wife I was leaving her. And she said, why? I said, I've fallen in love with the nurse that was looking after me. And you know what? That is genuinely true. But what you don't appreciate, because you're in the trenches the whole time, you have no appreciation of how much patients actually do appreciate you. Even if you go into the hospital as a patient, because you're used to the trenches, you're used to all that going on, etc., you're not kind of going to feel that real emotional level of thanksgiving that we as civilians do. So you really do have an impact on so many people. Brief little piece about my prostate journey. I went for a prostate biopsy. And ladies, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't ever go for a prostate biopsy. Okay? You know when doctors say, this might sting a little. Doctors lie. So anyway, that was a pretty painful piece, but he phoned me a few days after and said, Conor, come in, we got some news on your biopsy. And I said, just tell me on the phone. So he told me I had Gleason 3+3. And I put on the phone, I came up with a 4-letter word, which happened to be, oops, yeah, which stands for prostate scare. Okay? Oops is a very powerful word. So anyway, I had done my research, and I knew up to 30,000 people could actually die from prostate cancer every year, but it is a well-treatable disease. So I said to myself, all right, Conor, you've beaten thyroid cancer previously, you can beat this as well. And I asked myself the question, what do I want my attitude to be? I said, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to have the right attitude. My wife told me I had to buy a new pair of pajamas before I went into the hospital. Why? I mean, no one ever wears them inside there. But I went into hospital anyway with a brand new pair of Monty Python pajamas. Pajamas bearing the legend, it's just a flesh wound. So, as I was being, had a pre-anesthesia, I was kind of starting to go out. My wife and my darling daughter were there, and I started singing Danny Boy. Right? The reason why I started singing Danny Boy is because it's a song that my wife hates. It drives her crazy. But I knew she was crazy with worry at the time, and I just wanted to try and make her feel better about it. I came out of the surgery, which went reasonably well, except for one slight little complication. For some reason, one of the sutures hadn't taken. So down here, I had a pretty large hematoma. Kind of the size of maybe the 2 hands, okay? You know what it's like, bright purple kind of thing. So they were debating whether they'd leave me out, but they said it wasn't a major issue. So I went home, and my darling wife came up the following morning with a cup of tea or something for me, and she said, let's have a look to see what you like down there. So she pulls the clothes back, and in words that Shakespeare would have been proud of, that Byron, the love poet, could never have written, my wife looks down and she says, your penis doesn't look as rotten this morning. Word for word. I've told that story to a few friends of mine, buddies of mine, and they said, come on, your wife didn't use the word penis. And let me tell you, that for us civilians, the only time that you actually use the correct words for your genitalia in a marriage is when there's something wrong with the genitalia. Right. So anyway, as a result of that, thankfully everything's gone pretty okay, but as a result of that, I can now stand in front of you, and because I asked myself the question, what do I want my attitude to be? I can tell you that having had a thyroidectomy and a prostatectomy, I now have a unique Irish condition known as there's not much left of me. So, goals, attitude, behavior. The basic idea behind behavior is that your behavior creates your brain.